You're listening to the Abdominal Acupuncture Podcast with Pia Kollenberg.
I often get asked, what's the difference in abdominal acupuncture? Why is it so, what does it make so different to other ways of acupuncture? So, thinking about it, I thought that would be quite a nice topic to talk about it. And I would rather talk about the specifics and not about the differences. The difference is always that you have to choose one or the other. The nice things in our profession is in acupuncture, you could always add, you always have a toolbox full of possibilities, what you can use if you can't use one point out of whatever reason because you have a plaster there or there's a big scar, then you are not kind of lost in thinking, oh dear, what should I do now? You just open your toolbox and you decide, okay, I can't work in this zone, I work on another zone. And that's the same with abdominal acupuncture. You have a big toolbox again when you learn this fantastic method. But there are differences and there are specifics that are that grabbed me. That was one of the reasons why I was so curious to learn it when I saw it the first time in Guangzhou, because I looked at those needles on the abdomen and I thought, what is going on here? I don't know half of the needle's positions. So this is today's topic, the specifics of abdominal acupuncture. One really big point in abdominal acupuncture is the point that you are using not only one zone, you are using 4 zones. That at the beginning is maybe a bit confusing, but you take into consideration that each person, each belly is different. It's different. You use already the measurements, you use a ruler that you could also say that is something that varies to traditional acupuncture. And when you measure, you use still the ratio of the sun, what we know, but then you translate it into centimeters. And so above the belly button, below the belly button, the right side of the navel and the left side gives you different measurements, and those measurements will give you different zones. So you can have above the belly button a zone, when you translate it into centimeters, that could be 1.3 centimeters, for example, and below the belly button it could be only 1 centimeter. And then if you have someone who has quite a wide frame, it could be on the left side of the belly button could be nearly 2 centimeters, and on the other side 1.5 centimeters. For example, today I measured someone, and when I measured from the middle of the belly button to the right flank, it was the right flank towards me, it measured 16 centimeters. That's okay. And then I measured on the other side and it was 20 centimeters. So on the right and on the left side, the difference for 4 centimeters. So therefore, if you want to find, for example, stomach 25, which is on the line of the belly button to the flank, it will be different. It will be not at the same place on the right hand side than on the left hand side. So that's one of the specifics. Another specifics is we are using different needle depths depending on what kind of levels we want to work. We have in abdominal acupuncture 3 different levels. Quite superficial level, where is actually the miraculous tortuous placed. So when you see those pictures of the turtle on the belly, that's when you have access of musculoskeletal problems. Then you have the second level where you access the meridian level, which we all know, and the third level when you go to the tongue fu level. So this possibilities to have access on a small space to lots of different energies is very specific. It is also something that microsystems offer. Although I always say that abdominal acupuncture is actually a mega system, but probably because I'm such a fan of it. And another specific point is we don't really tonify or reduce in the traditional way where you twirl the needles in certain ways. It is a harmonizing technique where you leave the needles in general half an hour, so it's 28.8 minutes if you want to use the circle of qi in the body, depending on the patient's situation. So therefore, that is at the time where the body actually realizes or decides, if you want to, what it needs. Does it need to be reduced at that point, or does it need to be tonified? But saying that, depending on what needle size you use, how long you leave the needles in place, that is also considered actually as tonifying or reducing methods. And then another point which is a bit different, also talking about needle manipulation, we are not really looking for the dichi. So that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but we are not really going for that sometimes a bit surprising sensation for the patient. Like when you, for example, needle Hegu, large intestine 4, where you have this Daichi sensation quite quickly, and people look you who didn't know it look with really big eyes. What was that? So on the belly, it doesn't give you that really, really strong sensation, which doesn't mean, again, it doesn't happen. It's just a different way. You actually can see it with the breathing, for example, or people give you feedback. Oh, now I have a kind of tingling sensation. You can feel it on the needle. It's like fishing for your bait, because you can feel, here I am. The more you get used with that technique, the more you actually be able to feel that. So this is another difference, if you want to talk about that. And also, shall I say it's a difference? You use sometimes less needles than in traditional acupuncture, depending how you work, because I know there are needle techniques where you use 1 to 3 needles, and it is a very, very soft acupuncture technique. So very very suitable for example, needle-afraid people, or who have never experienced acupuncture. I am using it quite often for children, if they get used to it with acupuncture, because it's very, very, very soft, but very powerful. So those are points that I mentioned that are a bit different. And also the distances on the belly are tiny bit different than what I learned, or probably you learned as well, in acupuncture treatment. So I hope this made you a bit curious to learn more about abdominal acupuncture, and it is something that you grab quite quickly, because it is this kind of logic with this method that makes you understand it very, very quickly, and it is not something that you need to study for 3 years. What doesn't mean you don't have to work. I mean, I'm working with abdominal acupuncture now for the last, I would say, 15 years, and I still learn every day because every patient is different in whatever acupuncture method you use. So keep in mind that you're learning every day and stay curious. And thank you for listening to me.
You've been listening to the Abdominal Acupuncture Podcast with Pia Kollenberg.